Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Talaka. I'll be giving you a demo of the CloudBudget product. Thank you again for attending, and we'll go ahead and get started. As you can see on the screen, we are a Lightning compliant and Lightning built product on the SalesForce platform. If you're familiar with SalesForce, this will look very familiar to you. And to get started with the budget product, you can tell we're here on a SalesForce tab called the Budget Manager. And the first thing I'm going to cover is just general administration of the budget with a focus on some convenience features that are intended to make the process streamlined and easier to manage than a spreadsheet for sure. So we're going to start off here with the overview of the user interface. Across the top here, I want to start with these filters. These are used for filtering the data below. Of course, we don't have any data yet because we haven't created any. These filters are built around your analytics. And your analytics are different ways of slicing and dicing your budget. So as we go forward, I'm going to show you how to do filtering based on these analytics, how to do grouping, and of course, reporting and all that kind of good stuff. These are core to the product as a concept, but they may be different depending on your needs. So I'm going to take you through these one by one, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. We have general ledger account. Most folks are familiar with what a general ledger account is. It's a very general bucket for categorizing income or expense. Department, region, which kind of speaks for itself, a product line, channel, account, ledger, and the owner of the budget line, which plays into workflow, which Rob mentioned earlier. This product is workflow capable. So these are your analytics, your core analytics. We're going to demo filtering using these in a second, but we're going to jump right in here and add a new line to the budget by clicking this button in the top right. And here we have a new budget line screen. So we're going to do a very simple example to get started. And then as we revisit this feature, I'm going to show different ways to do this faster and more efficiently. So to get started, I'm going to pick a GL account. So we're going to do some product revenue. We are, of course, going to put this into sales and marketing. And I'm going to pick one of my two regions, which in this case is US North. I'm going to leave these other analytics blank today. And these are kind of going to be our three core that we're going to demo with as we go forward. I'm going to give this budget line a name. And this is a very useful feature because it lets you do something memorable. As you're working with the budget, if you have a particular naming scheme for your budget lines, you can apply that here. This field is searchable. We'll cover that a little bit later. But in this case, I'm just going to give this a very simple name of demo line number 1. Okay. Over here is our entry screen. And if we want, we can start entering data like so, kind of like a spreadsheet. And that certainly works. We have a couple of assistants here I wanted to show off to make this a little bit easier for you. So if you open our entry assistant, we have some proration functions that you can apply. And the first two here are the ones I'm going to show off today. We can repeat a particular number evenly. So let's say we want to repeat 12,500. We can go ahead and do that. We have another proration concept here as well, which is divide evenly. So I can take this number and again, apply that across 12 periods. And if I want to, I can just override that as well and either smooth or adjust the numbers as I see fit. So that is the most basic method of adding a budget line. I want to show off a little bit of a candy feature down here, which is our year-to-date aggregation. If you're interested in seeing the aggregate impact of your numbers, you can toggle this on or off. And as you can see, editing switches off, of course, because we're doing a little bit of reporting here to get started. But you get the idea of what we're doing there. And this is a very, very basic line. I can come over here and add a description, which is also searchable. And I'm going to go ahead and save this line and close it up. Okay, so now you have a singular line in the budget. You'll notice that it is color-coded green for revenue. That is also adjustable within the system. And what you can see over here is we have all the analytics shown that we selected for this particular line. If that's too much information for you and you're looking for a more streamlined view, you can turn detail on or off. Okay, and now we're just back to that user-friendly or user-meaningful line that I provided earlier. So before I go forward and show you guys a couple more ways to add lines that are even faster than that, I want to show you that you can also do data editing right here on page. So very similar to a spreadsheet, you've got that spreadsheet feel here. You can kind of just plug and chug, and there's no need to open a line. And so you can imagine having 100 lines in this sheet, and you can work with it very, very similar to a spreadsheet. So we're not losing that sense of data entry efficiency with this product. So there we go. I've gone in and overridden a couple lines, and I've got a little save down here, and I'm going to go ahead and save that line. All right. So we've covered the most basic way to add a line. I want to show you a couple convenience features that we have in play. I'm going to go ahead and open this line back up. And let's say that I like this combination of analytics I used. I know I'm going to have to do a lot of budget entry using these analytics, this particular set of analytics, right? I actually can come in and save this and replay it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as a function. I'm going to give it a name. Okay, so I've got that one saved. Now, if I come back in and add a line, I can find that saved analytic combination in the list and simply apply it. And again, this is a time saver. In the event you're doing a lot of budget entry, you can just have preset combinations for all of your usual suspects in here and really just burn it. Very, very easy for data entry. So I'm going to go ahead and add another demo line here. And once again, I'm going to show off the entry assistant. Okay, just checking this one off. Looks good. Let's give it a good number in there. And oops, I didn't save it. All right, let me do that one more time. Once again, I'm going to apply the analytic function. Use the entry assistant and save it. Okay. So now we've got two lines in the budget. And I'm going to show you a third way to make this super easy. I'm going to go ahead and turn analytics back on so you can see them on screen. And I'm actually going to go ahead and clone this particular line. Get a confirmation screen there. And I'm actually going to make one little change to this line. I'm going to send it to US South. Okay. Same deal. Use our entry assistant. And going to hit save. And close it up. So that's our third way. A little bit later, I'm going to show you how you can use Excel to go round trip. And that's a fourth way that you can add lines to your budget is via the Excel mirroring feature. We're going to get to that a little bit later. In this case, I've shown you three different ways to enter your data. I want to pivot a little bit towards showing off these filters. We talked about these a little bit earlier. And I want to show you a little bit how to play around with your groupings as well, as those can be super useful. So let's just get into a very simple demonstration of our filters. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm simply going to say I only want to see US South data. So I go right to my analytic filter, hit apply. And there we go. Very, very simple. And this is hugely, hugely powerful, right? Imagine you have a budget with hundreds or thousands of lines. You can view that data and get down to whatever set of analytics that you want very, very quickly through these filters, and they're very, very fast. So in this case, we got down to US South. Let's just share this off a little bit more. We'll do an apply filter on US North. Okay, now we've switched back to US North. We've got our 2 lines there. I'm going to do a reset. And I want to show off this text filter as well. You might recall I have this line down here. I put the word cloned into it. So I'm actually going to search for that as well. Let's check that out. There we go, free text search. So that's very, very powerful, right? You can come in and in a sense have very loose analytical filters in a sense, just however you name your lines. This text filter will search the name, it's going to search the description and the analytics themselves. So this is really good for when you're trying to find that needle in a haystack in a budget that has a goodly bit of data in it. So that's kind of a high level of filters. One final thing I want to show off, you actually can save these as well. So you're going to notice across the top, we've got some preset filters here for US North, US South, all these types of things. And again, this just gets you right to that data that you want to see. I'm going to come over here and do apply of this US North. And I can save it just by clicking this button over here. And there it is at the top. So again, you can come in with these preset filters and very, very quickly knock your budget sheet down to whatever it is that you want to look at. Okay, so these are our filters. Again, I'm going to go back to the main budget, and I want to play around a little bit with groupings. So I'm going to do a reset. We have in this system a series of configurable grouping rules, and I want to show you how those play out. So in this case, you can see our budget is grouped principally by region. And you get these really nice roll-up views. Again, with a pivot table in Excel, you'd probably be spending a goodly bit of time trying to get this reproduced. You'd be dragging, you'd be dropping, all that kind of stuff. Be a bit of a pain, especially at scale. In this case, we've got all of our budget rolling up to these 2 particular analytics, which happen to be region, but these are configurable. So I want to show you guys how to play around with these. If you want to change your groupings, let's say I want to see it by department and then region, I can do that right here. And there you have it. Now you have your regions rolled up to department. Again, with these summary lines, we're kind of starting to do some reporting light here, right? I mean, this is sort of very light, quick, easy, at a glance reporting. And if I want to flip it back around, I can switch to region/department. And there we go. We've got regions broken down to departments. And again, we keep all of our summary lines there. So this gives you an idea of the flexibility of this grouping feature. You can do lots of sort of light reporting, and they are user administratable. So you can add to this list depending on your analytics, however you'd like. So again, very, very convenient for large budgets. All right, so we talked about basic line management. We talked about filtering. We talked about grouping. We are going to switch back to line management, and I'm going to show you some more advanced features there. In particular, I'm going to show you allocations, allocated lines, and I'm going to show you formula fields as well. Let me switch this back to region. So CloudBudget does support the use of formulas. Today, I'm going to show you a very, very simple example just to demonstrate it. Similar to before, just to start a new line, I'm going to click Add Line in the top right. I've got a new line here. I'm going to give it a good name. Pardon me, I'm not very creative these days. And right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and switch this to a custom formula. Okay, so I'm going to hit this function button in the top right. I'm going to hit add custom formula. Oops, missed a step there. Let's give it a GL dimension. Fill everything in. And we'll switch to formula mode. And the first thing you're going to need to do is set up your formula. And so again, I'm going to do a very, very simple example here, which is effectively a price times quantity calculation. Now, just to speak a little bit about what is driving these numbers, because that is a common question. The system supports user or really admin administratable data catalogs. So in this particular case, we have a fiscal year sensitive data catalog of airfare prices. And that can go from very simple to very, very complicated. In this case, again, we just really have a listing of airfare prices, but that can get very, very complicated. And we can have numerous data catalogs. We can have them for travel. We can have them for per diems. We can have them for hotel prices or catering or all that kind of stuff. In this case, we're just using this one air travel one. And again, the formula itself is just price times quantity. So I'm going to hit save. And you'll see our screen has changed. Instead of the period by period data entry of raw numbers, we are now going to enter a head count. So let's say we have an event in May with 25 attendees, and we have an event in September that's much larger with 50 attendees. In this case, the system will calculate that for us. So again, a very, very simple example just to get the point across. But this is our formula feature within CloudBudget. So I'm going to go ahead and save this line. And close it up. And that's formulas in a nutshell. Next, I want to show off allocations. So allocations have different use cases depending on whether or not you're on the revenue or on the expense side. Typically, an allocation is used when you have, for example, some line item, either an expense charge or revenue that you want to subdivide out across a series of sub-analytics. So in this case, I'm just going to get this set up. I'm going to once again do product revenue. I'm going to do sales and marketing. I'm going to leave region blank here and give it, again, a memorable name. And here is our allocation function over here in the top right. So I'm going to go ahead and click that line, or click that button rather. And here we have a general line at the top. I'm going to go ahead and enter a top line number and click the allocation button a few times. And you're going to notice we've got two sublines below it, and these are actually going to be our allocations. And so I'm going to send a little bit to US North. I'm going to send a little bit to US South. Okay, so we've done a 50% allocation across these two regions. As you noted in the beginning, I didn't assign a region to the allocated line at the header. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. Okay, and then I'm going to close out. And we can take a look at how this played out on the budget. So in this particular view, which is our default view, which is called source only, you're going to see the allocation at the top level, the unallocated amount. You can see it actually got put into an other region because I didn't specify it. So that's an interesting kind of use case. In this case, we've taken the allocated dollar amount and sort of stuck it off into its own particular area, uncategorized area. And if I come up here and switch to a subline view, we're going to see the allocated lines themselves. So there's our allocated line. You can see we've got an icon there to indicate that it's actually part of an allocation. And there's our allocated amount, which we can edit directly. Same as any other line in the sheet. Okay. So that's allocations. Again, very simple example just to show off the product capability. And we are going to switch gears here to show off our round trip Excel function. The product supports the ability to export data to Excel, work with it in Excel, and then re-upload it to the budget. And that's very, very powerful. It's a great option for folks who maybe need to do just a little bit of budgeting and don't need full use of the system. So that's a very powerful feature we're going to show off now. To get to our Excel mirror, we're going to go ahead and pick a filtered view of our data. So in this case, remember these preset filters that I showed off earlier. So I filtered down to US North, and I'm going to click this Excel mirror icon in the top right. And I'm going to go ahead and download the file. We do get a preview before we write the file, which is kind of neat. Get a feel for what's going on. Yep, give it a good name. Okay, I'm going to have to juggle my screen share here, so thanks for your patience, everyone, while I switch over to Excel. Okay, so here we have the CloudBudget budget that we just downloaded. You can tell we've got some nice row highlighting going, row coloring here going on as well. Green for revenue, the sort of off yellow for expense. And I want to show off a couple interesting features with this particular spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and insert a new line. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. I want to insert a whole new row. Okay. I'm actually going to copy the line from above, and I'm going to paste it into that blank space. And what you're going to notice is the headers, the roll-up summaries at the top level actually update as you provide updates. So watch this. So this is not a CSV style download with no functionality in it. This actually is a workable spreadsheet. Things are driven by formula, and you do retain some degree of general Excel functionality, even though it is a download. So that's something I like to really show off. The other thing I like to show off is we actually provide drop downs with our analytics in them. So for example, let's give this a new line. A new name rather. I'm actually going to change the analytic on this to be services revenue. Okay. So you saw what I did, inserted a new row, played with some numbers, changed the analytics. I'm actually going to save this. And again, I'm going to juggle my screen share here in a second, and we're actually going to re-import this into CloudBudget. And you should see the new line that I've added to this spreadsheet within the budget. So give me a second to do this. All right, back to CloudBudget. Once again, I'm going to hit Excel Mirror, and I'm going to drop that file that I just saved back on the target. And we get a preview of our data before it goes in, which is pretty nice. So basically, this is kind of a dry run of the import. And if we're able to determine an error, which of course can be challenging, but if we're able to determine an error in the upload process, we'll actually output that here. But you do get a bit of a preview of what you're uploading before you upload it. So I'm going to hit confirm update. We are going to replace the contents of your budget with this spreadsheet. We are not doing a merge. So we do give a little bit of a cautionary note here. Make sure you're comfortable with what you're sending into the system. Okay. And there it is. So we have the line we inserted in the spreadsheet right here. As you might recall, I sent it to a different GL account for services revenue. And you should see some of the updated numbers right there on screen. So what I've shown here is our round trip Excel functionality. And we're going to close out here, my portion of the demo, with some reporting and some dashboards. So I'm going to show a canned report. This is a P&L for 2023. And I do call this the Holy Grail. I know Rob mentioned a little bit earlier about the ability to broadcast actuals versus budget. And this is the report that everybody wants to see. So in this case, we have kind of standard income statement format, actual versus budget by period with a variance or delta in there. And if we scroll all the way over to the right, we do have our totals on screen. This is directly exportable to Excel with formatting, so you can grab and go with this if you want to. And I want to show you what really makes this the Holy Grail, which is you can get drill into actuals. So in this case, this particular instance is integrated with Accounting Seed, and this can be modified for your needs, but you get the idea. In this case, what we're doing is we're broadcasting where our actuals are coming from, all the way with a click through to the transaction level. So this is customizable, again, depending on what system you're integrating with, but the system does offer you that drill down into the actuals that I think is pretty neat, gives kind of an interactive function for what is otherwise kind of a standard report. All right, so that is a very simple report. I'm going to transition from there to my final topic, which are dashboards. Everybody loves a dashboard. SalesForce has really stepped their game up here, not just with native SalesForce dashboards, but CRM analytics, which we also tie into. But in this case, this is really just a show off of what we can use or what we can do with standard Salesforce dashboards. This is not CRM analytics or anything fancy. So we've got our standard bar graphs, our line charts, the pie charts, and every CEO's favorite dashboard widget, the big red number. So this is a very simple dashboard, and we are capable of integrating with CRM analytics and have done some storytelling with CRM analytics if you're interested in the real deep drill and drive storytelling type visualizations. We're capable of doing that as well. So I'd like to thank everyone for your attention and your patience while I juggled the screen share. Today I covered basic budget maintenance, grouping, filtering, advanced line management, including allocations, filters. We talked about the Excel round trip function and how useful that is. And then we closed out with some basic reporting as well as some Salesforce dashboarding and all that kind of stuff.